Do you have any tips that you give people to prepare their bodies and their brains to go to sleep?
I think one of the best things that someone can do, and I'm sure you advocate for this as well, is meditation, mindfulness meditation. I think that can be incredibly helpful. I think it's something that we don't utilize enough. And it's a shame because there's a lot of great apps and resources. You know, the Headspace app, the Calm app. These are really useful and they can be very, very helpful. Even if you start off, I tell my patients, even if you start off with a minute, you know, I can't meditate. Try just a minute. Start with a minute. Even if it doesn't do anything for you, get your brain used to doing that. And then you build up over time. Yeah. That at nighttime or in the middle of the night, and then exercising in the morning. Those two things, I think, tend to work very well.
Yeah. Things that I tell people that the bedroom, only two things take place.
That's right.
Sleep and sex.
That's it.
Get all the electronics out of the bedroom,
Definitely.
The TVs, the laptops, all of that.
Right. I have patients tell me sometimes they'll eat in their bed or you know, it's like, what I say is, I use this analogy. It's like, you know, you want to think of not only the bed, but the bedroom, you know, it is almost like a sacred space, right? You don't want to do anything in that space that's going to desecrate the temple, or as it were. Yeah. You know, in New York City, you know, where I practice and, you know, you're from, it's not everybody has access to a separate bedroom, or, you know, there may be a studio apartment. So that makes it a little bit more challenging, but you can always say, look, I'm not going to do these things in bed until it's time for sleep.
What about eating?
Same.
But how long before their last meal to when they...
Oh, as far as, okay. Yeah, I don't really have a great recommendation on that. I don't have a specific number. What I say about eating and drinking are the following. You know, you don't want to go to bed with starving, right? You don't want to go to bed with you know, ravenous stomach. You also don't want to go to bed right after a big meal. So ideally, I would say you want to give yourself at least a few hours to digest. If you're starving before bed, maybe a little bit of peanut butter or some crackers, maybe some carbs and protein, that may help, you know, satiate you. With water, you definitely want to drink your 8 glasses of water per day. I think that's another thing in medicine we don't often.
No.
But you know, but an hour or two before bed, you want to cut that off.
And what about you? Well, you got a lot of people that drink coffee.
Right.
When should their last caffeine intake be?
So that's an interesting question, because there are some people who drink coffee, you know, up until 10 p.m. rather, I should say. And they say, I have no problem. That doesn't affect my sleep. All right, well, you're lucky. Good. You know, but caffeine in some people can have a half-life up to 5 hours. So that means if you have a cup of coffee, let's say at 4 or 5 p.m., it still may be in your system by the time you go to bed at night. Not necessarily that you're going to have a jolt of energy all the way through, but even that little bit of caffeine is recognized by your frontal lobes as being present, and that can be just enough to tip the balance where, you know, it won't let you go to sleep. So I would say for anybody who's having trouble, 1, 2 o'clock the latest. Any caffeine.